what you'll need for class today is just some space to move around. I would recommend having a yoga mat. And if you don't have a yoga mat, you can substitute a blanket or a towel just to give you a little bit more comfort down on the mat. We will start in just 1 more minute. Hello to Angela and Maria. Thanks for saying hi into the chat. You guys are welcome to say hello. And just a reminder that if you do have a question during the program, you can write it to either Haley or I in the chat. We won't, well, I won't read the questions during class, but I will make sure to spend some time answering questions at the end of the program. So don't worry, you can put it in there and I'll make sure that we get to as many of them as possible by the end of class. So there are some specific questions I have in the chat about whether or not this class is appropriate for different types of back pain. And the answer is this class is appropriate for almost all types of back pain. And really, I put it back in your hands a little bit that we're going to do a number of things that have some options to progress and challenge yourself, as well as to regress and modify. So just listen to your body. If something doesn't feel right, try the more modified version and chances are it will feel a little bit better. And if something's feeling really simple and really easy, feel free to try that more challenging version. But everything we do in this class should feel good for your back. And if for some reason something doesn't, you can always take a break and then just hop back in when you feel ready. So not everything we do is appropriate for everyone, but I think for most part, this program is good for most back things. And if you have to skip 1 or 2 exercises, that's okay. So with time, I think you'll be able to complete the whole program. Okay. All right, so it is 9 o'clock here Eastern time, so I'd like to get started. And thank you, Haley, for adding all those links into the chat. Lots of good stuff for you guys to check out. What we have today is our 30-minute back pain program. So this is my traditional back pain class. It is going to be mostly movement-based. So we will do some stretches, some strengthening. Today, we're actually going to do a little assessment to get a sense of where our bodies are today and maybe how they feel once we reassess at the end of class. So many of you are familiar faces, but for those of you I don't know, my name is Allie. I am a doctor of physical therapy as well as a nationally certified Pilates instructor. I've practiced here in Boston over the last 5 years, and I teach with the Community Online Academy every Thursday all day. This is my last class of the day, but one of my favorite ones to teach. So I kind of already went through the options to modify, so we'll get started. And again, if something doesn't feel right, please take a modification, and that way you can get the most out of this program. Today, we're starting in standing. So I'm just gonna make a little camera adjustment here so you guys can see. And what we're gonna do is before we move, take a look at our body's range of motion. We're also going to look at our balance. So that can give us some data as to where to focus our energy during this class. So I want you to look down at your feet, bring them a little bit closer towards one another. So maybe about hip distance or slightly more narrow. Feet push down into the floor and stand really tall. We're going to check our side bending movement first. So I want you to slide your left hand down towards your left knee, come back up tall, your right hand down towards your right knee. And remember that we're just kind of testing your range of motion. There's no right or wrong. You might actually feel a little bit of pain or soreness at the end range, and that's okay. Just notice it. Also notice if you have a big difference from side to side. So that's side bending. We're going to check rotation next. So cross your arms across your chest, keep your feet planted, twisting your spine to the side, come back to the center, twist to the other side, and come back to center. And you can try that one more time here, each side. Good. And again, just notice it for now. I'll turn to the side so you guys can see. We'll do backwards bending extension next. So bring your hands to your lower back. You're going to press your hips forward, gently leaning backwards, and then come on up. And the last movement is the opposite, which is flexion, forward bending. You can allow your spine to drape forward. If you need to bend your knees, you can do so here. And just let your body hang and reach forward. And then we'll come all the way on up. So you can notice maybe forward bending was painful. That's a very common one. Maybe it was leaning backwards. We'll just notice it. The one other thing I want to check while we're standing here is balance. So stand down onto your right foot, see if you can pick your left leg up. And if you need to hold on to something, that's fine. What we're noticing is, one, how's your balance? It's a good indicator of muscle symmetry and strength on that side, but also, does this cause you pain or do you feel okay? We're gonna try the same thing on the other side. So let's stand on your left. Does this side feel easier? Is it harder? As I move my hands, I'm starting to wobble here. See if you can stand up really nice and tall and just notice how your back feels in this setup. And then we'll go ahead and place it back down. All right, so we're gonna run through our program today, and then we're gonna recheck all of our final movements. So if you'd like to find yourself down onto the mat, you can choose to have your legs extended or keep your knees bent. And we'll just get connected to our body down here on the mat. So it should feel hopefully a little bit relaxing to lie down, take the weight out of your spine. And as you lie here, tune your attention to your breath, starting to take your inhale breaths in through your nose and exhale breaths out through the mouth. As you inhale in, feel your ribs open wide out to the side, starting to inflate up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, imagine your ribs hugging in towards your lungs to expel the air back out your mouth. We'll try 3 more breaths just like this. And this pattern of breathing here is designed to help relax the muscles around your lower back. Twice more there. Good, and 1 more time, just like this. And then we're going to create a little bit of movement in the spine. So starting with the pelvic tilt, we're going to rock the tailbone front to back. So if you were someone who had pain with forward or backward bending, we're going to do that movement right here with our pelvic tilt. And this should not be painful. So I want you to work within your body's comfortable range of motion. The point is just to bring a little bit of warmth, a little bit of looseness to the tissue as we rock our hips front to back. Now, if you've done this with me before and you want to practice your breathing patterns, you're going to exhale to tip the tailbone back, inhale to release it forward. Exhale to tip back, inhale, release forward. 5 more just like that. And 4, and we release. Exhale, tip back, 3, and let it go. Last 2. Good. Once more, just like that, and then settle somewhere right into the middle. From here, we're going to walk our feet together, knees together, and let your arms rest out by your side. So if you are someone who had a little bit of pain with rotation, here comes our rotation. So you're going to rock your legs gently from side to side, keeping your knees together and feet together. And that's what helps to ensure that this rotation happens across our lower back. Your shoulders will stay down on the mat, but it's okay for your hips to lift here. And again, I want this to be pain-free range of motion. So nice and gentle, just working within your body's range. Hopefully, as you move a little bit here, though, it feels like you can go a little bit farther with more comfort. Good. 3 more. And 2. And last time, and we're going to settle somewhere right back into the middle. So go ahead and separate your feet a little bit. We're going to take this into a combination stretch and strengthener. So this exercise starts with the pelvic tilt. So I want you to think of curling your tailbone up, and then you're going to continue to curl, lifting the hips into a bridge, and then soften, letting the ribs come down, mid-back, low back, so your tailbone is the last thing to lower. So this is an articulated bridge, meaning we're curling 1 vertebrae at a time off and lifting back up 1 vertebrae at a time. So this articulated type bridge is a stretch for our spine in that forward bending motion. So again, if that felt really tight or restricted, this is a great place to practice. And you might feel like you have kind of a chunk of vertebrae that all move together as one unit. This is where you want to really slow down your movement. Feel each of those vertebrae working on their own as you roll and curl in and out of this range of motion, gluing the feet down into the mat, lifting and softening and melting back. Try 3 more. And allow the spine to melt back down. And 2 more here. And all the way down onto the mat. That's it. 1 more time. And come all the way back down and settle somewhere right into the middle. So from here, we're going to check on our balance. So a lot of our balance comes from our core stability. And core stability is a little bit different than core strength. We'll check on this with the next exercise. So reach your fingertips up to the ceiling, draw your shoulder blades onto your mat, bring your right leg to tabletop, your left leg comes up to meet it. From here, you have the option to just hold this. This should already be a little bit of core work just to hold this here. You're going to reach your right arm and left leg away from one another and pull them back in. Left arm, right leg away and pull them back in. And all the while, you're imagining that your trunk here is like a tray holding a bunch of waters. I want you to keep that trunk super, super steady as you move. So if one side feels like you're getting some movement, modify by pushing the legs up a little bit higher. If you want to challenge yourself, you can reach down a little bit lower and come back in. Good. Continue here. 3 more. And 2. And 1 more time here. Come all the way back in. Drop both feet down. Drop both arms down. And allow your legs to rock from side to side, gently rinsing out. So you may have noticed one side felt a little bit harder than the other. We're going to test that in one more option here and then see if that connects to what we were feeling in balance. So knees in towards the chest. See if you can rock yourself all the way up to a seated position. We'll flip on over to the all fours setup next. So hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath the hips. You can spread your fingers wide. And we'll start with a gentle cat-cow. So allow your head to hang down, rounding your spine, and then dropping your chest down, lifting your heart open, shining your chest forward. Head hangs down, push the floor away, and drop the chest down. So this again is our spine's forward and backward bending. So it's backwards bending here as we drop our chest down, forward bending, rounding as we lift up. So work within your spine's comfortable range of motion. But again, this is just another opportunity to start to increase that movement. 3 more. And lower back down, that's it. Last 2, you can pair your breathing here, exhaling when you lift and inhale to lower. 1 more time, we exhale, lift up, inhale, lower back down, and then settle in the middle. Now we're gonna check side bending, and I'm gonna show you guys this from the front in just a moment, but side bending, remember, is that side to side movement. And in fact, you can actually create that movement here. Imagine like you're a dog wagging their tail, kind of shifting your tailbone side to side. So this is an option to modify if the next exercise feels like too much. However, if you'd like to progress, reach your right arm straight out in front of you. You're going to tip your hips to the right, your right hand to the left, and then come back to center. So it's kind of like this giant windshield wiper motion. From the front, I'm shifting my hips over, opening up that side, reaching to the opposite hip with the goal of opening and closing my right rib space. 2 more. 1 more time there. And you can place that right hand down, come up, give yourself a quick break. I know that can be tiring for your left hand and your left shoulder. We're going to try that same thing on the opposite side. So we'll step back up into that all fours position, push down into your hands, draw your ribs up away from the floor, and then reach the left arm in front. You're going to tip your hips to the left hand to the right, and back. So we're just creating space. You can imagine the side of your ribs is like an accordion that's opening and closing. And I know this can be a funny movement. It's actually one that's really, really helpful to our breathing. 2 more. Last time here, and go ahead and bring your hand down. Now we're going to check that balance here as well. So same kind of thing we just did, except that tray of waters is now on your back. So keeping your back steady, your neck long, extend your left leg long back behind you, your right arm long out in front of you. push your fingertips and toes away from one another. Draw the rib cage up away from the floor. We hold and breathe, unlock your elbows, stretch the fingertips and toes a little bit longer. We hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way down. We're gonna try the same thing second side. So unlock the elbows, neck is long, left hand reaches forward, right leg reaches long back behind you, and we hold. For me, this side feels a little bit easier. I don't know about you guys, maybe it's the opposite. Just notice it, hold it here, lengthen and stretch the spine away. We hold for 4, 3, 2, and 1, come all the way down. From this position, we're gonna lie right onto our stomach. Separate your feet a little wider than hip distance. Find your hands flat underneath your shoulders and start to lift your heart and chest open. Push your hands down into the floor and really glue the fingertips down, letting your arms do the work to lift all the way up if you feel comfortable. This is also backward bending of the spine. So remember here that your arms are doing the work. Your spine is just along for the ride, and this should be comfortable range of motion. This can feel like a really intense stretch, but it should not be painful. If it is, just back off to the point where it feels comfortable and then lower back down. And I hope as you move here that it becomes a little bit easier to go up higher. And this is extension not just for our low back, but for our upper back as well. 2 more times here. Press all the way on up. That's it. Once more, lower down. Press into the hands into the floor, lift all the way on up. And then we can melt onto the mat here and gently roll to the side. So I'm lying on my left side. We're gonna do both sides. So either is fine. Bend both knees in towards your chest. So you wanna pull the knees in nice and close. That's a way to make sure we're about to do some rotation that it targets our upper back. So we already did rotation for the low back here. So top hand is gonna reach up and reach to tap the floor in front of you, and then reach back behind you as far as you can comfortably go. So my hand here really is a guide for what's happening at my rib cage. So you can imagine your ribs turning to the floor, turning up to the ceiling, very gently twisting up and around, finding a nice long reach, keeping the top of the head tall. Arms are long back behind you. Try 4 more. Good. And 3. Exhale, reach up and over. Last 2. And 1 more time here. Come all the way back in. We're going to add in 1 more piece here. So this time, keep the hand on the floor as long as you can and start to reach the fingertips up to the ceiling and gently lower it back down. I'm sorry, the ceiling was the wrong view, over the top of the head. So as though you were standing if the ceiling was above you. So this continues to help with rotation, but it also opens up that side bending space once again. I like to imagine like I'm almost gonna draw a rainbow over the top of my head. And if this is too much for your shoulder, you can always bend your elbow and try that same opening motion with just your chest. 2 more times like this. And once more here. Good. And then gently press yourself on up to the seated position. So we'll do the other side in just a moment, but right now I am sitting down on my left hip with my legs splayed off to the right. We're going to continue with that side bending opening in a bigger pattern. So open up your arms, take up space, and start to allow the arms to dive up and over. So this can feel really nice. You can imagine your spine kind of like a windmill here, that it's just swaying in the breeze. Now, for those of you who are looking to build in a little bit more strength challenge, you have the option here to take this up into a side bend, side plank. So I will show you that here. The next time my left hand is down, I'm going to reach the legs out, dive the arm up and over, and then gently place the hips back down. Counter stretch. We'll try that again. Legs out, reach up and over and lower down. And this is optional. You can stay with just that mermaid motion or the windmill. But again, this can add a little bit of strength piece for that bottom shoulder, certainly for your core, and take that really nice big side stretch. One more time on this side here. And reaching up and over, and you can lower your hips down. We'll do a fancy transition with the legs up and over to the other side and lie down for our book opening stretch. So you can make a pillow with your bicep and bend your knees in nice and close towards your chest. Top hand is going to reach out to the floor in front of you, and then up and over for the floor behind you. So I call this book openings because I like to imagine I am opening the page of a giant book. And again, this helps with rotation, so also known as twisting. So if that felt tight for you, this is a great one. And this is also an area, this upper back rotation, where a lot of people get stiff from sitting. We'll try about 3 more. Just let your breath be comfortable and natural here. 2 more. And 1 more time like this. Good. Now go ahead and start to reach and trace your fingertips up overhead and back down. So keeping them on the floor as long as you can, as though we're opening up your top rib to hip space. So getting that side bending. Again, think a little bit like that accordion motion of what we did on the mat earlier in the all fours position. 2 more times like this. And lower back down. That's it. Once more here. And gently lower back down. You can press yourself on up with your legs splayed off to the side. So now I am sitting down on my right hip, legs splayed to the side. You can actually sit in any position that's comfortable for your body. Stack the spine up tall, open up your wingspan, take up space, and start to dive the spine up and over. So very gentle spine stretch here. Imagine your body again like that windmill, just flowing through the breeze, shoulders drop down away from the ears, keeping the neck tall, long, and lifted. That's it. Good. We have 4 more. And 3. Last 2. And last time. Now you can continue here. Otherwise, if you'd like, add that reach down with your right hand, stretch the legs long, take that body up and over, and lower your hips back down, and we'll counter stretch. So make sure that hand that's down on the floor, your shoulder is reaching away from your ear, your hips are pressing up as high as you can, and that top arm is sweeping over, just like that motion we did in the all fours setup earlier. 2 more. And lower back down. That's it. 1 more time here. Hand down, stretch out, reach long, lower all the way back down, and we'll take a little rest. So go ahead and find a comfortable seat anywhere on the mat that works for your body. Feel your hips grounded down into the mat and your spine lifted up tall. We're going to finish the movement part of our class with some seated breath work, just like we started. So roll the shoulders down and back. We'll take an inhale breath, reach, get the fingertips as tall as they've ever been, and exhale, keep that height as you lower your arms down. Again, another inhale, sweep up, get long, and an exhale, breath out and let it go. 1 more time, big inhale, stretch, lengthen, and exhale, release, let it go. Now we're gonna recheck our spine range of motion and our balance, because I'd like to see what effect does this all have? What does this all mean? And what do I need to continue to work on? So come on up to standing. If you want to try a little challenge here, you can plant your feet down on the mat. See if you can reach your fingertips forward and come up to standing. So that's a little test there of hip range of motion and back range of motion. It's not easy. It takes a lot of practice. So don't worry if that feels totally challenging. So standing on your mat, once again, look down at your feet. It's actually really important how your feet look when we measure spine range of motion, because the orientation of our hips alters how our spine moves. So your feet should be parallel and just a little bit more narrow than hip distance. Arms down by your side. We're going to start bending to the side, come back up, and bending to the side. And my movement test here really isn't fair. I've been teaching classes all day, so my spine is very warm, but I hope that your spine feels a little bit different than it did when you first started class. Good. Let's go ahead and try now that rotation. So arms crossed, you're standing up really tall. Go ahead and try and twist one side to the other. And you may notice, wow, I still feel a little bit of tightness at end range, but likely you're able to go a little bit farther than you did when you first tried this. Good. Next test we're going to go back to that extension. So hands come to your low back, stand tall first, gently leaning backwards, coming on up tall. You can try that once more here if you would like. Good, and then we'll try that forward bending. So if you need to soft bend into your knees, you can do so here. Dive and roll your spine forward. Let your head hang heavy, let your arms shake out, push down into your feet. Take a deep breath in here and a deep breath out and carefully roll all the way on up. So our last test here is going to be for our balance. And so once you find your feet grounded underneath you, I want you to actively push your feet into the floor. So we've done a little bit of strength work here and they should be working. So feet down into the floor, draw your rib cage up tall off your own hip joint and pick your left leg up. And see if you can hold it. Imagine lifting your spine off the weight of your right foot while pushing your foot down like you might leave a footprint behind. Hold it. Do you feel a little bit more steady? And you can lower that foot down, shake it out, press your left foot down, glue that foot to the floor, spine tall, and pick your right foot up. Hold it there. Notice if your body is compensating by leaning backwards. Try and pick your chest up tall so you are stacked right on top of your ankles, pushing down into your foot. Look at one thing that's not moving. Hold and breathe. And we'll gently place it down and shake it out. Nice work, guys. So I hope what you took from this class is a little bit more information about what's happening with your spine. Where are your deficits? Where is your strength? And what do you need to work on going forward? And just know that no one is perfectly symmetrical, and having tons and tons of range of motion doesn't always mean you don't have pain. So it's not always correlated, but especially for people who have to spend a lot of time sitting, our backs do tend to get stiffer. And so this is a nice way to recheck, remeasure how effective even just 20, 25 minutes of moving down on the mat can be for the rest of your day. So I want to spend our last 3 minutes or so answering any questions that you have about this class or about back pain. There may be 1 or 2 in the chat now, so let me get a little closer so I can see. And then I ask that if you have any time to stick around to leave some feedback for today's program, I would really appreciate anything you have to say and anything else you'd like to learn about for our Community Online Academy programming. Trisha, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed class. Okay, great question here. So when I get up in the morning, my lower back is stiff. What stretches can I do without having to get on the floor? So my recommendation for morning stiffness is if you take the first 5 minutes of the moving that we did, so not even, not the standing assessment, of course, but the work we did with breathing, pelvic tilts, gently rocking the legs side to side, that kind of work where we were down laying on our backs in the beginning of class, you can do that in bed. It feels different. You're not going to have as much support, but what's nice about that is really gentle. You're meant to move only within your spine's comfortable range of motion, and that should allow your body to start to wake up before you even get out of bed. So I actually do recommend for most of my patients who are experiencing morning stiffness to do the stretches before you get out of bed so that the process of getting out of bed is easier, because as you know, that process can be stressful. It's rolling, it's sitting up, it's standing up. So those are big movements. Give yourself a couple little movements first and then get out of bed. So give that a try. The replay for this class will be available tomorrow. So if you want to go back and rewatch those. But I do pretty much start all my back pain classes with that sequence because it is a really nice way to warm up the spine gently. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Maria. Don, thank you. It's great to see you as always. Jennifer, thank you. Okay, so when we bend forward towards our toes to stretch, should our backs be rounded or flat? It depends on what your goal is. So today when we were measuring spine flexion, which is the ability to bend forward, your back will be rounded. However, in some situations where the back is super sensitive, you would want to keep your back flat in a more neutral position. I also teach when you do squatting or lifting that you always use that flat back neutral spine position. What we did today was really more of just a test for your range of motion. So it really depends on what you're trying to target. Neither is right or wrong. Thank you, Jolanta. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you.